Right, this is just a real quick video. Just want to show some biblical evidence for heaven being in the earth. I'm in Job 38, and I'm going to go to verse 33. This is the 1599 Geneva Bible. Knowest thou the course of heaven, or canst thou set the rule thereof in the earth? We've got the 1560 Geneva Bible, Job 38:33. Knowest thou the course of heaven, or canst thou set the rule thereof in earth? Next, we've got a regular 1679 King James, Job 38:33. Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? Okay. Next, we've got at Sefer, okay, Job 38:33. Know you the ordinances of heaven? Can you set the dominion thereof in the earth? Okay. So I've also got a Greek Septuagint here. Now, when you look up that verse, it's going to say something completely different. I've got the JPS Tanakh. Also, it's going to be worded differently. And I've also got the Interlinear Bible here. It's also going to be worded a little bit differently. In English, it says the heavens are in the earth. Just something to take note of. But for all those people that want to say that Scripture does not say that heaven is in the earth, well, you just got proved wrong.
Now, inside the celestial sphere, this is hollow too. And there's a celestial ocean. Okay? Which actually verifies and validates what we read in Genesis chapter 1, where there are two levels of water. The waters above and the waters below. And there was a firmament, which was created. This is a hard surface, and I believe it's created out of glass. Okay, this is the initial firmament. Later, after the flood, there's a secondary firmament that was created. But inside this chamber here, it's hollow, and there's sound being reverberated from the center. And what is in the center, get a straight edge here, is, well, I'll just do it by hand, a octahedron, okay, which is basically two pyramids turned on. Turn on each other, like that, okay? There's an octahedron in the center of heaven, which is in the center of the earth. The book of Job, chapter 38, very significant chapter. Verse 33 says that the ordinances of heaven take dominion of inside the earth. Heaven is inside the earth. Heaven is inside the earth. What's also inside the earth? Let's go back a little bit. Genesis chapter 1, okay? At the apex of this magnetically charged, magnetically powered octahedron, you know, if you got the positive side here and the negative side here, is the apex where it's generating the source of the light. This is where the light is originating from. Notice also too, there are four corners at the base of this octahedron. Okay, that is what is referred to in the Bible as the four corners of the earth. Okay, four corners of the earth. Notice also too here, there's a magnetic equilibrium. The center. This is where the equator is. Okay, so basically you can take this 0 degrees latitude, and that's where your equator is. That's why also geostationary satellites can hover perfectly. Another thing too about Earth, there is no spin. I told you about that on the first page here, but no spin. So the spin is happening inside the Earth. Why is it happening? Because of magnetic propulsion and the way magnets work, okay? If you place a bar magnet inside a glass beaker, okay, and you put that on top of an exciter that excites the plasma, okay? You put this bar magnet inside this beaker, okay? It's had a positive and negative pole to it, right? But these field lines are returning upon each other. Draw this a little bit better here. So these field lines are returning like that, okay? So what that does basically is that it creates a spin, a lateral spin like that. Spin. Magnets create plasma spin inside glass. That's what's happening in the earth, okay? There's glass, firstly, in this celestial sphere, firmament, and there's glass here too in the, let me get a bigger circle here, which is roughly 62 miles high. 62 miles. Glass. That was created after the flood. Okay, let's back up a little bit, okay? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form, which was meaning basically that earth in that instance meant land. So the land was not seen, okay? It was without form. And darkness moved over the face of the deep. Well, yeah, so there was already a spin happening. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, okay? So, and then let there be light, okay? Then the light flicked on, okay? So the light inside the sphere is being refracted because refracted means it's being bent, okay? Light is being bent, especially inside a curve. It's going to curve. Light is going to curve because of the refraction. So at the top of this apex of this pyramid, this light is bending over like that because initially it's shooting out straight, vertically, but it's bending around like that, okay? So the light, the Spirit of God is moving, okay, magnetically charged. So we're spinning already. We're spinning in this lateral motion continually. This is happening every 24 hours, okay? And then day 2, there was a firmament that was created. So this light actually expanded and created this firmament. There were elements that were already created. Light was not the initial element, okay? In the beginning is not saying before there were any elements whatsoever, okay? This was already here. This was before the beginning. This was built. This is called the foundations of the earth. Go back to Job chapter 38, verses 1 through 4. It describes a geometric structure when describing the foundations of the earth. And it's also a pyramidal structure because it talks about the cornerstone and it talks about being laid with measures. Okay? That's what's going on, okay? So, day 2, you got this firmament that was created, and it separated. The heat expanded into 2 levels. So this earth expanded, okay? The shell got thinner when it expanded. The earth shell got thinner. And so you have waters above and waters below, okay? Very simple. So we already have light inside the inner celestial sphere, inside heaven. Now there was going to be light that was being created in the outer shell of the universe, and that was the sun, okay? The sun and the moon, okay? They're moving this way, okay? However, what you've learned about the sun is wrong. But since I'm talking about the sun having a dark side, I'm also saying that it's not an omnidirectional light. I'm saying it's a direct light, like a flashlight. Sun is a direct light, contrary to what you've learned, which means it casts a shadow. It casts a terminator line where the light is divided from the darkness, okay? And because it's inside the curve here, and the light is bent. It's being refracted like that, okay? It will eventually have this terminator line on the earth, which divides the light from the darkness, okay? This is a direct light. It's very important to understand that. Now also, when the light bends too much to hit the earth, it actually moves around and it turns around back in towards itself and it hits the moon, okay? That's also why this is the real explanation of lunar eclipses. It's not the shadow of the earth that's covering the moon. It's actually, there's like a little area of light that's like a void where the sunlight cannot reach the moon. And when that moon enters in that little cone-shaped area of light, funnel-shaped area of light, the moon gets obfuscated, okay? So, you have the sun and the moon. They're moving around the inside of the earth. The planets are there too. Earth is not a planet. Remember I told you that, right? Earth is not a planet. Planets are little spheres that orbit around the inside of the earth. And I believe there are 7 of them because I don't think Pluto's a planet either. So that's 9 minus Earth and Pluto. So you got 7 planets that are also moving. There's an ecliptic here, okay? In Job chapter 38, it calls the ecliptic the day spring. Okay, so they're moving around like that, okay? Okay, now during the flood, now pretend this line isn't here yet, okay? It says that the windows of heaven were opened. So the windows, this glass firmament, it broke apart, okay? And water gushed forth down to the lower ocean, the lower level of water. So it flooded. It went over the continents, over every continent, okay? And it also expanded the earth more, okay? As well as the water that came down, sand also came down, silica. And it came down here, and that's how we get this glass bound. It fused together in the ionosphere, where there's a lot of electromagnetic activity. So there's a glass sky here, okay? It's 62 miles high. Attached to that glass sky is also a mantle of ice. Going back to Job 38, verse 22, verse 29, it's called the hoary frost of heaven. Hoary frost of heaven. Hoary frost of heaven. Now the word hoary frost in Hebrew actually connotates that word with the image of a bowl or a basin. So basically you're thinking this hoary frost is attached to a bowl or a basin-like structure, okay? Or a womb, out of whose womb came the ice. Job 39, Job 38. Or it's also called the treasures of the hail. Treasures of the hail. Treasures as if meaning that they are hidden. We don't understand that there's a layer of glass and a layer of ice connected to the glass up in the sky. And every so often, this glass, or not the glass, but the ice will fall down.